Hi everybody, Nick McDonald speaking. Thank you very much for joining us for this week's ICE commentary on the dollar index and currency markets. Starting here with the monthly chart for the dollar index contract, we can see that we're certainly in a downtrend on this monthly chart, and we've just put in what I think will become a lower high within this downtrend. What we really need to see to confirm that is just a breakdown through this previous low, which is my lower blue line. It's around about 73.20 and not too far away at all from the current price action. These candles on the monthly chart, as well as the trend, and in combination with this previous resistance, which is now previous support, which is now acting as resistance, are all things which are swaying the probabilities to the downside for me, saying this is looking more likely to go down than up. However, let's come and look at the weekly chart, and you can see this range I identified last week, which we're still stuck in, and I've identified the key point on the lower end of that range, which is around 7400, and then also the absolute lower end of that range, which is the lower blue line. Then on the upside we've got 7600, which is the key point. Then we've also got the upper end of that range, which is up around 7690, closer to 7700. So what we've got here is price has actually continued this week, or last week, to reject that level. So last week we identified it and said look for trading opportunities around 7400. And that is the key level, and if it did break 74, we need to see a breakdown below these previous lows here to really confirm it's likely to move down. In fact, what it's done is just really confirmed the strength of 7400 again by breaking below it and completely rejecting it on that weekly chart. Coming and looking at it on a daily though, you can see it's been quite a scrappy week. So even though we've come down and we bounced off 74, then we came below it, then we bounced off it again, then we've come below it and we've rejected it again. It's been quite a messy week. It's really been scrappy, and this is the characteristics of a range-bound market. You can see as well just these last few weeks the dollar index has been even more sideways than usual, so we've been really kind of scrappy and sideways here, whereas before when we were sideways we still had some big swings within that and some quite tradable moves. Within here it hasn't been quite so strong. I do think though that the dollar is starting to look like moving lower again. Let me just back this up by quickly looking at a couple of the spot currencies. Euro dollar's in a very similar position. Flip the dollar index chart on its head. When we look at this, we've got this really bullish monthly candle in this moving average buy zone, and any break up through the upper region of this candle, and if we be precise here and get the exact high, it's 145.77. Any break up through there is going to be looking strong for the upside to euro dollar to at least test 1.5, probably up towards 1.55 and maybe even higher. And if we look at cable, GBP USD is looking very, very similar. So we're going to bring up the monthly chart here, and we've come back up. We've started to uptrend on this monthly chart, pull back in. We've got a bullish candle. We're already breaking up this month through the high of that candle, and I think we should be getting up and at least testing 1.7, and from 1.7 deciding which way it goes. If those two spot currencies move the way they're looking like moving, then that is pointing towards the downside for the dollar index and a breakdown out of this range. In the short term, however, until we've broken that range, I won't predict that price will. I can look at the probability that I think price will go that way, and I'm certainly swaying to the downside, but in the meantime I'll continue to trade within that range, and I'll continue to trade around 7400. In the past I've shown a number of trades I've taken off key levels on both the Russell and the dollar index. Trades I've identified, and I've usually showed you winning trades. So I want to show you this week is a trade I took this week on the dollar index. Sorry, when I say this week I meant last week. So a trade I took last week on the dollar index. So I'd identified last Sunday night that I was looking for trades around 7400, and here's a trade that happened where price had broken below 7400 and it was pulling back into 7400. Notice here I've got a 61.8% Fibonacci level clustering perfectly with 7400. And if you look over here on the 60-minute chart, you can see already, even just on that week, how price had already been finding support and resistance around 74, and my short is here just as we broke above 74, and now we're breaking back down below it at the big number, at support and resistance, and at the Fibonacci level, and in the moving average sell zone. So for me, how do I base my trading? This trade was a losing trade for me. Let me just go and show you what happened on the charts. I just thought I'd show you trades I take both ways. So here is, that was a live screenshot. I always take live screenshots of my trades. Here was the actual entry here. It actually moved into some profit for me. It didn't move to my profit target. My profit target was this lower blue line. My stop was this upper blue line. So it came down, got probably halfway to my profit target, came back up, and stopped me out on that one. So my goal here though this week is to keep on doing the same thing, to keep on trading around these big numbers. I'll trade around 7400, I'll look for longs and shorts at that level, and I'll also trade around 7600. And until we see a break out of these ranges in one direction or the other, then that's my trading plan, to continue trading the big figures. And between 74 and 76, there's just not much going on. I would look for any bounce off 7400 and potentially even stay long until 76. That'd be a really nice trade. Then look for shorts around 76 and potentially stay short back towards 74. Now that would be an ideal world if we continue to bounce solidly within this range, but actually the fact that now we're starting to stick towards the bottom end of this range is another signal for me that the downside is looking like higher probability here for a break downward, and that's my longer term preferred trade. In the shorter term, I'll continue to flawlessly execute my strategy and take trades just like that trade I just showed you on the dollar index at 7400, looking for a multitude of reasons, a cluster of reasons, or a confluence of reasons, all happening at the same time, giving me reasons to be trading around these key levels. Hope that helps everybody. Happy trading, and next week let's hope that we've seen some decent movement on this dollar index contract.